You thought you could marry my son. The father-in-law's words cut through the air, chilly and stern. Our standards don't align with yours, he continued, disdain lacing his tone. Don't you dare dream of joining us. Anyway, you're not the right person for my son. Now, leave, he commanded, his voice unwavering. That's how coldly my father-in-law spoke to me. And my mother-in-law chimed in as well. You wouldn't have approached Alex for money anyway, she added, her disapproval palpable. My name is Kate. I'm 34 years old, and I work for a company. Since graduating from university, I've remained with the same company, dedicating myself to my work every day. Some of my coworkers left to start their own businesses, get married, or have children. Despite this, I stayed, committed to my career. You might think I'm a lonely workaholic woman, but I'm not. I have a boyfriend named Alex. Alex was a business partner. Initially, I thought of him as a nice young man who took his work seriously. As we collaborated more, we began to develop feelings for each other. He confessed his feelings, and we started dating. It's been a few years since we started dating, and now we're even engaged. But if you ask me if I'm worried about marrying him, I have to admit there are some concerns. He's still young, even younger than me. I wonder if he'll be okay with me being older. Though he says age doesn't matter, I can't shake off my worries. His father is a business owner, and Alex works for his father's company. This means that in the future, Alex will take over the company and become its president. I fear his parents will oppose our marriage. I've been feeling uneasy about it for a long time. Of course, I was happy when he asked me to marry him, but I wonder if we can really tie the knot. However, Alex doesn't seem to mind at all. His optimism is one of the things I find attractive about him. He's already met my parents, and we often have nice dinners together. My parents have agreed that we are getting married, and they like Alex very much. Finally, the day came to meet Alex's parents. For weeks, I had been nervous about the visit. Their house was spectacular, as expected for the president of the company. It was a grand mansion that made me feel like I was in a royal palace or something. Instantly, I began to wonder if my clothes were appropriate for the occasion. I had prepared some fine clothes, but I wasn't sure if they were good enough. I come from a modest family, and it would be a world of difference compared to Alex's house. Alex often treats me to nice meals at fancy restaurants, and when we go on vacation, he always books expensive hotel rooms. He thinks such things are completely normal, but sometimes I feel like he lives in a different world from me. Even so, he never imposes his values on me, and he never brags about being wealthy. I don't judge people by their money. I fell in love with him because of his personality and inner beauty. Initially, I questioned why he was dating an older, attractive woman like me. But his sweet words reassured me that he genuinely appreciated me for who I am. In other words, because we love each other for who we are on the inside, Alex and I are getting married. I believe I've met a truly wonderful man, so I want his parents to approve of our union. Don't worry, babe. I've already told my parents about you. He tried to encourage me. Then the front door opened, and his mother welcomed us. Welcome, you must be Kate. Yes, I'm Kate. Nice to meet you. I replied as his mother gave me a quick nod and ushered us in. Inside, there was a vast living room, and Alex's father was waiting for us, seated on a luxurious, fluffy sofa. I suddenly felt nervous all at once. Of course, I was nervous when I met his mother, but his father was even more intimidating, as one would expect from the president of a company. It is a pleasure to finally meet you. My name is Kate. Thank you for inviting us today. I managed to say, my voice slightly trembling. Alex looked at me and smiled. Don't be so nervous. But his parents weren't smiling at all. Instead, they stared at me with icy eyes, sending a shiver down my spine. Please sit down, his father instructed, gesturing to the sofa. It felt like a job interview. Well, no, excuse me, his father interjected the moment I sat down. His mother followed suit. Hey, Mom, Dad, what are you guys doing? What do you mean no? It's rude to say such a thing. Alex was upset and tried to defend me, but his parents didn't seem to listen. How old are you anyway? You look pretty old to me, his mother remarked. I'm 34, I replied, feeling a knot form in my stomach. I'm only 6 years older than Alex. How can we accept Alex marrying an older woman like you? She continued. Besides, it's already too late for you to have children, isn't it? We need someone who can give us grandchildren. And for me, it has to be a young woman, at least younger than Alex, his mother added, her words cutting through me like a knife. I knew they would bring up my age. And you're still single at your age. I can't help but think you have some kind of problem. Maybe you're too difficult or have a bad personality, something like that. His mother concluded, her tone harsh and judgmental. Mom, what are you talking about? Kate is a wonderful person with a great personality, Alex interjected, trying to diffuse the tension. But then why hasn't she married before? His mother's sharp question exploded into the room. Excuse me, I responded, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. I know I'm a little older to be married, but I love my job, and I wanted to work harder. I've always prioritized my career over marriage. That's why I didn't get married until I reached this age. It wasn't until I met Alex that I realized I wanted to get married. I tried my best to explain, feeling the pressure mounting from his parents. But their attitudes remained unchanged. Wouldn't working harder be more beneficial? It's not like the company you work for is a big one. Even if you work hard and get promoted, you don't get paid much, do you? His father questioned, his tone dismissive. I think you should focus more on making yourself more attractive as a woman. You know, it would be nice if you got. His mother paused, searching for words. Yes, even at your age, you can still look a little better. Maybe some plastic surgery would help, she suggested, her words cutting through the air. Honey, that's too straightforward, his father chided. But they both laughed, seemingly amused by their own remarks. It was the first time I saw them laugh, but it was at our expense. I was shocked and angry, unsure of how to respond. You thought you could marry my son. Your standards don't match ours. Don't you dare dream of joining us. Anyway, the point is, you were not the right person for my son. Now, leave. His father's words were cold and cutting. That's how coldly my father-in-law spoke to me, and my mother-in-law got in on the act too. I recounted, feeling a surge of frustration. You would have approached Alex for money anyway. I don't know how you fooled my son, but you can't fool us too. That's enough, his mother added, her tone accusatory. You guys can say whatever the hell you want, but it's my life. I'm gonna decide who I'm marrying. Alex attempted to defend me, but I stopped him, placing a hand on his arm. I see. I understand how you feel, but it's quite impolite of you to say such horrible things to me, I said, trying to maintain composure despite the hurtful words. Despite the fact that we just met, I don't care if you were richer or not. It's not important to me. But if I were to become rich, I definitely do not want to be like you, I asserted, standing up abruptly. We wouldn't have to have any more conversations, I added as I made my way to leave his parents' house. You've got to be kidding me. Don't you dare insult us, you beggar. We will never allow you to marry my son. I don't want to be related to people like you anyway, his father retorted angrily as I walked out. You're such a disgraceful person. I'd like to see the face of the parents who've raised a woman like you, he continued, his words stinging with disdain. Ignoring his father's tirade, I left the house in frustration, leaving my parents behind. Their attitude was just too much to bear. Outside, Alex came running up to me in a panic. Kate, I'm sorry. I never thought my parents would say something like that. I mean, it was a horrible thing to say, but maybe it's a good thing. It would have been a lot more pressured if we got married in that situation. Anyway, I'm leaving them. I'm not taking over Dad's company. I'm quitting that company too. You shouldn't make such a decision in a rush, I cautioned, feeling conflicted. I'm not. I really do love you, Kate. We didn't get together for money, so there should be no problem if I leave the house, he reassured me earnestly. Well, that's true, but I began, uncertain. Let's go to your parents' house and tell them about this, he interrupted, taking my hand and leading me away. My parents were surprised at our sudden visit, but welcomed us warmly. Over tea, we recounted what had happened. My father listened without saying a word until Alex mentioned his father's company. Alex, your father's company is called Space Sea, right? And your father's name is Patrick Smith? Yes, but why? Alex replied, puzzled. That's what I thought. I see. Why don't we go with you to your parents' house now? My father suggested cryptically. Dad, what's going on? I asked, bewildered. Because they said they wanted to see her face, right? Let's go show a face then, shall we? My father declared, surprising me with his resolve. My father wasn't the type to provoke or anything like that, so I was taken aback, but he seemed determined, leaving us no choice. We ended up going to his parents' house again, this time with my father leading the way. When Alex's father answered the door, not his mother, the tension was palpable. You again. I won't forgive you, no matter how many times you come back, Alex's father began, his tone icy. Whose daughter do you think you were talking to, Patrick? My father interjected, his voice calm but firm. It took Alex's father a few seconds to finally recognize something, and the atmosphere shifted as realization dawned upon him. Mr. Anderson, is that you? You finally remembered your daughter. That means her father is you, my father declared as he confronted Alex's father. That's right. She's my only daughter. We had her later in our marriage, Alex's father admitted. How dare you insult my precious daughter? Have you forgotten what I told you back then for 3 years? No, you see. When you were arrested for smoking, drinking, and even caught shoplifting, I covered for you and gave you a chance to become a better person, didn't I? I did all that I could so that you could get a decent job. Didn't I teach you that no one can live alone and we all support each other? And yet, as soon as your company is successful, you forget all that, haven't you? My father continued, his voice filled with disappointment and frustration. I apologize for that, Alex's father said, bowing his head to me, acknowledging his wrongdoing. Alex's father seemed to be fragile now, a complete change from what he was before. If you're going to be the president of a company, you need to treat people with compassion. You think you're better than others because you're successful, aren't you? Aren't you looking down on people when you shouldn't? My father admonished, trying to impart some wisdom. Just when I thought you'd finally come to your senses, you're back to your old self. You're a real pain in the ass. You know that, Patrick. My father scolded, his frustration evident. Honey, you should apologize to her as well. Alex's mother interjected, bowing her head to me as well. I felt relieved that Alex's parents apologized to me, though the tension in the room was still palpable. I'm leaving this house, and I'm leaving the company too, Alex announced suddenly, causing panic among his parents. Wait a minute, if you leave, who's going to take over your father's role? You're the only one we have left, his father protested. I'm sick of you controlling me over everything. I'm going to start my own company and see how far I can go on my own. And I'll marry Kate as I promised. Thanks for everything, Alex declared, bowing his head to say goodbye to his parents. They froze up, turning pale, as we left them behind. It was then that I learned Alex's father was one of my father's students during high school. After Alex quit his job and started his own business, I continued working, supporting him as he pursued his entrepreneurial dreams. Alex proved to be talented as a business owner, and his company began making profits at an early stage. Eventually, we got married and became husband and wife, living with joy every day, supporting each other through thick and thin. As for my father-in-law, he faced consequences for his behavior, as some of his subordinates sued him for power harassment. His dismissal from his position as president taught us the importance of humility and compassion, no matter how successful one becomes. I have my father as a role model, and I cherish everything he taught me, striving to live my life with